Hello everyone. This video will be done without images of me. All you will see is what you're seeing now. I did take a short video of myself, and when I played it back, I don't want to inflict that image on anybody. It was too horrendous. Actually, I thought I looked better than that, but the camera doesn't lie. And yeah, that's no good. So I'm doing this just as narrative and no pictures of me. You've come off on this video, no doubt, because of the title, Lose a Pound a Day with No Exercise. Sounds impossible, but it's not, because I've done it before. And I want to explain to you from the outset why I've put myself in such a state as this. I'll say it now, I'm 25.5 stone. My measurements are fairly easy to remember, 62, 62, 62. I'm only doing the basic, so chest, waist, hips. I'm not going to muck about with thighs and top of my arms and neck and all that rubbish. You only need to know the basic three. That's all that's important. And I'm going to tell you, why. I said it's not an excuse, it's a reason why. Most people would think that's the same thing, but it's not. The reason for me getting like this and staying like this, I was abused as a child. I'm not going to give him a title of father, I'll just call him GT. He doesn't deserve the title of a father. So that's all I refer to him as from this moment forward. I was born as a result of GT raping my mother. They did live together at the time, and in the early 60s that wasn't considered a crime, so there's nothing you can do about it. That was acceptable. If a man and a woman lived together, rape didn't exist within that relationship. So 9 months later I appeared. I was in the home with my mum's 3 sons and 2 other daughters, so it was 8 of us in the house altogether. We lived in Slough, or Slough as you want to call it. And in the late 60s there was a campaign by Australia to get people to go out there to, I suppose, populate the country. So any young families they were looking for with children preferably, to go out there as a £10 pom. GT convinced my 3 brothers that it would be a good idea to go out there, and off they went. It wasn't long before my mum heard from them that when they got to Australia they were told by their employer they get in one truck and their luggage would go in another truck, and that was the last they saw of their brand new clothes. So a desperate letter or call to my mum begging her to come out. So unfortunately that's what happened. They went to I think the British consulate, possibly the Australian consulate, to get passports. They were told by the British consulate that they needed to get married if they wanted to go. so they got married, and I remember wanting to go with them when they got in the taxi, go to the registry office. I didn't know what was happening. I was, 4 years old at the time. So yeah, we packed up. One sister stayed here because she was seeing a boyfriend, so she stayed. Me and my other sister, GT, and my mum got on a boat and went to Australia. We were in a cabin which was underwater, so no fresh air unless you went outside, with 2 bunk beds and a sink. I would imagine the bathroom and toilet were down the corridor. I don't remember. And so that's where we were for 6 weeks. Arrived in Australia and was taken by our sponsor to the house where we'd be staying, which is what they call an old, well, it was a shack really, made out of wood and a corrugated iron roof. And when it rained and hailed, it was deafening, as you can imagine, hitting the corrugated roof out there. The place was called Berrigan. It had a population of 50 people, and no roads, just dirt tracks. So if you didn't know you were going, you'd never find it. And it didn't have a bathroom. We had to walk 20 metres out the back in the dark if we wanted to go to the dunny. So, all exciting for me, but, you know, not great. My mum didn't want to be married, so we left pretty quickly after a few disturbing things happened. But GT would always convince my mum to come back. And he would change and all this sort of stuff, and of course they don't. And that's mainly where the abuse started. I don't remember a lot. Just a few certain things, but not a lot. I learned quite early on that GT did not like fat women. So I thought the only way to stop him abusing me anymore was to put on weight. So I ate everything. Anything I could find, I ate it. And he enjoyed taking me out to feed me, which was good. So I was putting on more and more weight. The only time the abuse finally stopped, well, I suppose I was about 11. In Australia you could go to a vineyards and buy a gallon of wine, or a gallon of sherry. He liked sherry, so he brought a gallon of sherry. And this one day he'd been drinking quite a bit. Never used to drink before, but he just happened to like the sherry. And he got a bit drunk. And as I walked past him in the kitchen, he made a grab for me. I quickly went through to the lounge. He followed me. And as he came through the door at the side was a coffee table. He grabbed me again. I turned around and pushed him. He toppled over the coffee table, hit his head on the wall, and then slid down, so he was sitting on the coffee table. He didn't touch me after that. So that's a good thing. But I know a lot of people, children, after being through something like that, think themselves not worthy of being loved. and can turn to prostitution, drugs, alcohol, being promiscuous, a whole lot of other things, even sometimes suicide. I avoided all the others except one. I was a little bit promiscuous. Not really realising what I was doing, but when you're told by someone you love and trust that happens to all girls, what do you do? You don't know what to do. You believe this person. So I didn't have any feelings about my own body to look after it, or I just thought it was there to be used and abused. Weird men seem to be attracted to me. I remember I'm only a child, I'm still only 12 years old, but I grew very quickly. I was 5'10" by that time. I had a well-developed body, so I looked 18. Everyone thought I was 18. And I'd get hit on quite a lot. I didn't take advantage of their advances, if that's the word, I don't know. I'm doped up on Codamol at the moment because I'm in a lot of pain, so I might be saying things a bit backwards. But lost my train of thought now. See, I told you it's the Codamol. It does that to your head, makes you feel a bit dizzy. Yeah, these men. I mean, I got to the point where I thought I've had the word abuse me written across my forehead. These men were nothing I would find attractive. They were normally a lot older, and just type to make your skin crawl. The two partners, significant partners, I did eventually go with. I even married one, but they were, let's just say, weak. They were weak, had nothing, but I could control them. They weren't demanding of me. They didn't want anything. I could tell them what to do and they did it. And for the first time I was in control, which I enjoyed in a way, not hurting them, but just enjoyed the feeling of being in control for once. But I didn't want that. I wanted someone who was strong and powerful and take care of me and be dominant but not domineering. Someone who would look up to me and love me, but that never happened. I don't know. And now it's far too late now. I'm too old. Never. My last job, which lasted 20 years, I never met anyone. Because I was a carer, so I didn't meet any men. The only men I met were the men I looked after. And they just wasn't my type at all, or just not interested. I think I've been on my own for too long, and it's very difficult in relationships even to talk to people. I find that quite difficult. When I get to trust them and know them, it's different. I can chat away for hours, but it's making that initial approach, and then I'm always wary if someone approaches me for obvious reasons. So and I said That's a reason why I'm like I am. And even though he's been dead a long time, he's still in the back of my head. He's still sitting there. And it only takes, I don't know, seeing something on TV, someone saying something, reading something in a book that will trigger a memory. And in an instant, you're back to that moment. And you can't stop it. You can't control how your mind thinks. You think you're going along, enjoying your life day to day, nothing worries you, then something will happen and you're right back there. And all those memories, all those feelings all come back and they're there. And you can't get rid of them. They will be there forever. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think, it's been whatever, how many years, get over it. But you can't. You try to. Of course you try to. You don't want to remember it. But it even comes back in your nightmares. And you live it all over again as if you're there again. And no one has the right to make you feel like that. To make you feel degraded, worthless. I mean, those sort of people, they are bottom of the barrel. No, under the barrel. No, probably even about 10 feet under the barrel. They are the worst kind of humans to make another person feel useless and worthless. It's unforgivable. And a lot of people will not understand that unless they've been through a similar situation. Oh, but yeah, so that's my condensed story. I wasn't going to go into the details. I was going to go into the details, but I thought, no, that's not what you're here for. But I just wanted to say why it come to that, and I'm probably a lot of you will have experienced very similar situations, and it's not good, but we will do our best. Now, the reason we're on here, diets. I don't claim to be a professional, but I do know a bit about it, as I've been there, done that. I've done all the diets, been to exercise classes, the gym, hospital to have barbaric surgery, but I didn't have the surgery. I had the diet in preparation for the surgery. I was never going to have the surgery, never in a million years. But I had their diet, which is basically a lot of milk, which I find disgusting, a sort of clear broth, I think even yogurt was in there, something like that. I can't remember what the other food was, but it's a diet which makes you reduce your size of your liver, so they can get to operate on your stomach, where they've got to get to either staple it or cut it away completely or whatever they do. I think after the first month I had to go for a weigh-in, and I should have lost, I think, a stone according to them. I lost £9, which they weren't happy about. Following month, I was getting sick to death of this diet. They wouldn't let me drink almond milk. They said it had to be full cream cow's milk, which is gross. And my stomach decided it didn't want any more, and I threw up everywhere. So I stopped that. There's no way I was going to be sick all the time. So I went back again for my other weigh in, and I hadn't lost any weight. And basically didn't go back again. It wasn't working. Now, I'm not here to preach about what diet you should go on or to follow the diet I'm going to go on. I've done them all, and people say, oh well, they don't work. Yes, they do work. All diets work. The thing is, we give up on them. And the reason why we give up, when you start a diet, no matter what it is, the first week, fantastic, you lose about half a stone because that's water weight. That will come away quite easily. Second week, you'll slow down, maybe 2-3 pounds as your body settles down to what you're doing to it. And then you'll get to the third week, which is the crucial one. You may not lose anything at all. In fact, you may even put weight on. And most people will carry on for another week and then haven't lost weight, even though they're sticking to the diet, or again, they'll put weight on. And this is where people say, well, there's no point, it's not working, I'm going to give up. And they go and order a takeaway. The thing is, your body is adjusting. If you held on another few weeks, your body would adjust and the weight would start to come off again. And if you're exercising, depending on what type of exercise you do, the weight will come off faster. Or if you're doing muscle building, the weight will go on because muscle is heavier than fat. So you've got to find the right balance for you. So this is one, the diet I'm going to do, I've done before, it does work. A lot of, you might think it's restrictive, and it is in a way. And I'll tell you what, it's based on drinking smoothies, not juicing. Juicing, you don't get the peel or the pith. That goes into a separate container. If you use a juicer and you only get the juice, that is not good. We want all of the fruit. You want that stuff that's right underneath the peel. So I don't mean you throw in orange peel or anything like that, but you want to do the whole thing. So a blender is far better and you get everything you want. The easiest way to do that is fresh fruit when it's in season. If it's not, frozen is perfectly okay. And there's no dairy, so don't put yogurt in. You can put a banana in if you want to, but try and keep away from bananas because they're very high in sugar. And of course, the more yellow they are, the higher in sugar they are. So try to go for greener ones. I prefer the greener ones anyway. But if you can avoid them, be a lot easier. I'll go through a list of foods in a minute. I'm going to I should have started this yesterday and then started properly on the 1st of every month. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be coming back on the 1st of every month to give an update on weight and measurements, to see how I'm progressing. Now you can follow this diet I'm doing if you choose to. If not, you can just do one on your own. But remember, I'll be here to answer any questions. If you start feeling like you can't do it anymore, or you're going to give up, please put a comment in. I will answer it. and try to help you through. It is difficult, I know that. It is very, very, so easy to put weight on and so damn difficult to get it off. So, and I thought at least with this, you can stop it, rewind it, and write down the foods you need to get in. Obviously, if you're on your own, it's a lot easier because you haven't got someone else to cook for. You haven't got to put their food in the fridge and cupboard, and every time you open the fridge, see a chocolate bar in there or whatever. And you have to have a lot of willpower to be able to avoid that. So smoothies, the fruits recommended are strawberries and vegetables, of course, they include that as well. Strawberries, celery, kale, orange, apple, mango, pineapple, carrot, onions, peppers. The only vegetable we don't include are potatoes. Too much starch, too many carbs. So we don't do those. Dates are very high on the GI index, full of sugar. So I want to avoid those as well. You can also drink herbal teas and fruit teas, and because of this lovely English weather we have, which is extremely cold, pretty much 10 months of the year, you can also make your vegetable smoothies, which are the celery, kale, carrots, onions and peppers, into a soup. But don't boil it to death. You just want it warm enough to drink. You boil it, you're getting rid of all the nutrients out of it, and we don't want that. We want to keep as much of that in as possible. So you can have those. Now the difference with other smoothie diets where you just drink the smoothie all the time, I'm going to incorporate food that you can actually eat. The monotony of drinking all the time will get a bit too much. So instead of just drinking them all the time, you can eat foods as well. So we can do a bean salad, not baked beans in tomato sauce, no, but all the beans, and you can make up a salad with that. In fact, I'll do a video of me making a bean salad so you can see what goes in it and how it's done. So eat apples, eat celery, eat oranges, all salad items. So you can make up a salad: carrots, tomatoes, kiwi, cherries, melon. I mean, basically any fruit or veg except the potato you want to eat, you can have as food as well as the smoothies. Now with a mostly cold diet, there is one side effect that I experience, and I've heard other people experience it too, is you feel cold internally. It happens normally on the second day and can last for anything from 2 to 3 days up to a week. It's not pleasant. It's more uncomfortable. The fact that you're cold inside is not normal, but because you're having cold drinks going in your belly, and your digestive system will not allow cold food to go through your intestines. It sits in your stomach and it warms up to temperature, your body temperature, before it allows it to go through, which I find fascinating. So but because you're drinking cold, and that's why they say if you drink cold foods, it's easier to lose weight, because your metabolism is burning more to burn up that cold food, to warm it up before it goes through your system. It sounds a bit strange, but apparently it is true as a medical fact. So yes, you will feel cold internally, which is a very strange feeling, but it does pass as your body gets used to it. But it said if you can drink, so you like teas, herbal teas, fruit teas, and you can make the soup up, then that should be a lot less to have to deal with. And apart from that, it's pretty much okay. Do not starve. You don't have to limit yourself to 3 smoothies a day. You can have as many as you want. You can separate. If 3 is too much, have 6 small ones throughout the day. You don't have to limit yourself. You can have your 3 smoothies and a couple of apples, grapes, whatever, like anything like that. No, don't restrict yourself. There is so few calories in fruit and veg. It's not going to hurt to have as many as you want. And you probably won't want that many anyway, because you'll feel full quite a lot, because you're taking in a heck of a lot more veg and fruit by making it into a smoothie than you would by eating. But keep going. Don't give up. It will work, and you will notice the weight literally come off at a pound a day. You may have some stops where you don't lose anything for 1 or 2 days, but then you'll lose 2 or 3 pounds the next time you do it. But you're not going to notice that, because you're going to keep off those scales. You're only going to weigh yourself once a month. Measurements, however, you can do as often as you like. So you can measure yourself, but again, you shouldn't have to, because your clothes will give away the fact that you're losing weight, but they'll become looser. But keep off the scales, because you do not want to get disheartened by the fact that you haven't lost weight when you've been sticking to the diet and you haven't lost weight, may put on a pound or 2. You don't want that, so stay off the scales. I know it's very different. I used to jump on those scales 3 or 4 times a day. So it's not good. It just messes with your head. So don't do it. Just stay off it, and only weigh yourself when you come on the 1st of the month of every month with me, and you weigh yourself and take your measurements then, and we'll do that together. But as I said, I've done the first one, so, and because it's obviously late in the day, I will start this tomorrow. And yeah, and we'll see how it goes. I might pop in to show you how to do some certain recipes and that, and what you will need. Bags of frozen fruit are very cheap. They do in the big supermarkets. They do big sort of 1-2 kilo bags of misshapen fruit. You know, the ones they can't sell because people want curved bananas and straight cucumbers and whatever. Oh yeah, they do. So these big bags of this mixed fruit, it's perfectly fine. There's another freezer shop that also does bags of frozen fruit. I think it's 4 for 10 quid or something, or 5 for £10 or something like that. Yeah, go and stock up on it. When fresh fruit is available, get that if you want to. It's just as good. The frozen stuff, I mean, that's frozen. As soon as it's picked, it's frozen, so it's just as healthy. When you're going to make a smoothie, get the frozen fruit out an hour before, just so it's not solid when you mix it up, and then just throw it all in a blender and drink it. And it should be okay. Now, I haven't done this now since when I done this last time. I didn't have diabetes. which I was diagnosed with in May 2020. Which was a bit of a shock because I was perfectly healthy before then. I had nothing, no high blood pressure, no high cholesterol. I wasn't taking any tablets of any description. And this nasty thing called COVID came along, which I got in the end of February 2020. Didn't really know much about it then. It was just sort of, everyone was getting to know about it. But I remember it being the strangest cold I'd ever had in my life. It was weird. I mean, the first day, I don't know if this is in order, I can't remember exactly, but the first day I had a sore throat. Second day, sore throat went, I had a runny nose. Third day, runny nose went, and I felt weak. That weakness stayed, though, where the other two had stopped. That weakness has stayed. I couldn't even lift my feet off the ground. I felt like I was wearing lead boots. And everything was such an effort to do. But I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was a really bad flu. So I was just taking, normal paracetamol, Lemsip, whatever, to help with it. And it lasted 3 weeks, and that was okay. And then I think went into the first lockdown, I can't remember, and masks were worn and stuff like that. So that was, got into that. And then in May 2020, I noticed I was really, really thirsty all the time, and I thought it was just still from the cold, the flu I had. Really thirsty. I couldn't drink enough. Well, not thirsty. Well, it was a dry throat, very, very dry, like I'd swallowed a load of dust. And so I'd drink and try to get rid of this dusty throat, which did go after I drank. Then I'd have to drink more. Thing is, I was drinking gallons, and of course what goes in must come out. So every hour I was waking up and I had to go to the bathroom. So, and I was absolutely shattered. So I've got to go to the doctor to see what's going on. And they done blood tests, and the nurse looked very concerned, and she came in and she said, you've got to go to the hospital. Well, I said, why? And she said, your ketone levels are 4.5. And I said, okay, what does that mean? She said they should be 0. Ketones are apparently acid in your blood caused by high levels of sugar. And you can imagine acid being in your blood, what it does to your internal organs. And she said, do you feel okay? And I said, I feel fine. And she said, you sure you feel okay? You haven't got any pains in your stomach? I said, no, I feel fine. She wouldn't, in fact, I'd felt better than I had done for a long time. She said, well, you need to go to the hospital. And I said, when? She said, now. Okay, so got in the car, went to the hospital, walked in there, and it was brilliant. It was empty, because everyone normally had come in there for a little, a kid had fell over and got a graze on his knee. They took him to A&E. Had a headache or whatever, straight to the hospital. There was nobody in there except the COVID patients. Of course, they were right at the other end of the hospital. But the end I was in, there was nobody. So I was, I had 5 or 6 nurses and doctors buzzing around me. They thought, oh, a patient. So they were quite thrilled. I wasn't, but they were. So they hooked me up to all these machines and stuck things on my chest and done all the tests. And every doctor that came in, are you all right? Do you feel okay? I feel fine. I was getting really annoyed. They kept asking me. I don't think they believed me for some reason. Anyway, my ketone levels on the way from the doctors to the hospital had gone up to 5.4. And, and another doctor had come in I hadn't seen before, and he said, do you feel okay? I said, I feel fine. What is wrong with you? He said, well, you shouldn't feel fine. He said, the only other people I've known with a ketone level that high were either in the rush to hospital and pumped up to a load of machines, he said, or dead. Ha. Okay, I understood them. So yes, I was had a bed, had my choice of beds. They hooked me up to potassium, bags of potassium to pump in my blood to clear the acid. So I was hooked up to that. They kept pricking my finger every hour on the hour. I mean, you can't sleep in hospitals anyway, and then I attempted to sleep, but there's no way. No way. Prick the finger every time. My first reading of my blood sugar was 25. It should never be more than 6. So that wasn't good. But over the day and overnight and into the next day, it had come down to 5 something, so that was okay. They gave me a bag full of needles and a monitor and blood things to test me blood, and I went home, and that's been like that now. We're coming up to 3 years in May. Yeah. So because of COVID, I got that, and I had this argument on a social media site when I said about I'd got type 2 diabetes through COVID, and he replied, oh, there's no such thing, what a load of rubbish, you can't get diabetes from having COVID. And somebody I didn't know, this very nice lady, she put pasted a piece from the medical journal about it, exactly about that they'd noticed an increase in type 2 diabetes after people had had COVID, and so there was a direct link. And the man, to his credit, he did apologise to me. He said I had never heard about it. So obviously, because he hadn't heard about it, it didn't exist. But here you go. So that's what I'm left with. And unfortunately, just because COVID went away, the type 2 diabetes doesn't, because it doesn't realise that everything's back to normal now. But apparently, if I lose 10% of my body weight, it can be reversed. So this is another reason why I want to do this now, because I've had enough of pricking my finger and injecting myself and everything else, and having to keep checks on it, see if I'm high or low, or risk going to a diabetic coma and dying in my sleep or whatever. So, and I don't want to take pills and do that for the rest of my life. So yeah, so here we are. So that's it. I think I'll finish up now. I have no idea what the time is, but it's getting dark, so it must be quite late. I don't even know if this has recorded everything or turned off halfway through. I have no idea. I will find out, no doubt. Yeah, so I hope you're going to at least, keep in touch. Let me know what's happening. Let me know what diet you're going to follow, if it's your own or another person's, or from a diet book or whatever. And if you want to follow me, fantastic, we'll do it together. Silly time of the year to start it in winter, but then that gives me a heads up. If the weight goes down as it's promised, I should be, what are we looking at here? Well, it's the 1st of February 2022. So if you're looking at summer is June, 4 months, 4 stone lighter, that would be more than 10% of my body weight. So hopefully, touch wood, there isn't any wood around here, that would also be 4 stone lighter, and also I won't be diabetic anymore. That's the hope anyway. We just hope it does work that way, because I don't want to take pills and having to worry about what I eat, or if I'm going to wake up in the morning because I went to bed with a low blood sugar. Not good, not nice thinking about it. But, there we are. So this will wrap up this video now. Oh, and if you obviously do want to follow me and know